Last time on Dragon Ball Super, the universe is safe. After the battle against Broly, Goku and Vegeta realize that there are battles out there they must face together. Meanwhile, Trunks has gotten used to his new reality, slowly accepting his new life. He decides to visit the Z-Fighters, updating them on his situation. This time, he has brought plenty of fuel for the time machine, courtesy of his new alternate Bulma. Goku and Vegeta are excited for their future adventures, unaware that their next adventure will take place in the past. Return to a doomed planet. What if Goku and Vegeta went back in time?
Hey, what's up? This video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Picture this, a young martial artist and his best friend both competing to see who's the best. Not a throwing blast, but a gaming. Heroes and warriors from across the world gather in the stage of combat, ready to redefine what it means to be a legend. Because these kids are playing Raid Shadow Legends, a turn-based RPG the champions seem endless, amassing over 600. Those kids are going to face their biggest and baddest battle yet, in the form of this month's Hydra. Its heads is not the only thing that he has a lot of, but also power level. It's growing, overflowing. Raids is also giving away a limited edition champion to every player in the game. You just have to log in for 7 days. You may recognize him as esports legend and Navi superstar Simple. He's available between now and January 28th, 2022. If you miss the date, he's gone forever. You don't want to miss him. New players will get a ton of rewards, including an epic hero and an ancient chart to summon an awesome new champion for you. All you have to do is hit my link in the description or scan the QR code. Then you'll find your rewards in your inbox for the next 30 days only. My name in the game is SmugStick, and I'll see you on the battlefield, legends. Now, onto our time-traveling adventure. Goku and Vegeta looked up to the sky, eating their lunch. Chi-Chi had packed both of them a delicious meal to enjoy after some training at the lookout. Popo and Dende caught up with them, as the god and his friend observed Earth from above. Seldom did Goku and the rest visit up there anymore. It was good to have them. Even Piccolo had begun to travel around the world like he did before. But their conversations were interrupted when Vegeta got a phone call from Bulma. He tried to pick it up, but the call dropped immediately. Apparently, there wasn't good service at the lookout. Vegeta shrugged it off, and the two finished eating, saying goodbye, and speeding off home. It was already pretty late by the time Vegeta got home. Bulma was waiting for him, sipping tea on the living room. Though she tried to ask him why he wasn't answering his phone, Vegeta walked past her and towards the bathroom to take a shower. However, as he reached for the door swung open. Vegeta's eyes darted up to meet a familiar face, Trunks. His hair was long, though he wore similar clothes to the ones he had seen him in last. No doubt it had been a few years for Trunks. Trunks' hair was wet, having just taken a shower after a long trip from the future. The two smiled at each other. Knowing no one was around, Vegeta hugged his son. Trunks was a little surprised, but then he heard the click from a camera flash. Without even looking back, Vegeta blasted the camera right off of Bulma's hand. His wife was indignant, but they all settled down in the living room.
Huh, so this is my baby sister. She's adorable.
Yes, her name is Bra. I don't know where Trunks is, but he's probably out with Goten. Why did you decide to come here?
I wanted to visit you and Mom for a while. Thank you all for helping me. I've finally gotten used to the new life in the new universe. I even brought a cake that Maya and I baked for Whis and Beerus. Though, they probably wouldn't be happy with me visiting again.
Trunks smiled, signaling over to the cake sitting on top of the dining room table. Far away, Beerus and Whis overheard about the cake and already begun to teleport to Earth. Bulma told Trunks that there was no need for thanks, but Trunks insisted. The family began to talk about what's been going on, with Vegeta telling Trunks about him and Kakarot being hunted by the ghost of their past in the form of Broly and Paragus, as well as the events of the Tournament of Power.
So, after all my work, Goku decided to bring back Frieza anyways?
Trust me, I said the same thing, but things have been relatively quiet since.
Well, how did that Broly guy survive the explosion of Vegeta?
Your grandfather, God rest his soul, exiled him to a different planet because he was more powerful than me as a baby. My father wasn't the brightest, if I'm being honest. So many mistakes made.
With that story, Trunks' mind sparked. Looking out the window to the time machine, he thought of something. Trunks then glimpsed at his father, solemnly.
Father, I don't know much about Planet Vegeta, but if you could have saved your people.
No, Trunks, I would not. Without those events, I would not have met your mother, or had you, or saved the universe with Kakarot.
Trunks quieted down for a second, but looked back out.
What if it wasn't your planet Vegeta, but a planet Vegeta, an opportunity to visit a version of it? One last time.
Vegeta stepped towards the window, looking at the night sky. He hadn't thought about it. He didn't really miss anything, but it feels like he never really got a chance to. Maybe it would be nice. Vegeta smirked, and Trunks smiled, sprinting off to start up the time machine. Bulma was worried and tried to stop them for a second, but Vegeta assured her that they would be back in a flash. But before then, he had to call up his rival. Before he knew it, Goku teleported to Trunks and Vegeta. The three struggled to fit inside, but in a flash of light, the time machine had set course to old planet Vegeta. Just as Beerus and Whis arrived to eat their cake, Whis realized what had occurred, shaking his head. Once more, playing with time. They had warned him about this. Back with the Saiyans, they soon arrived at planet Vegeta. They had landed far away from civilization, thankfully. They surely needed some form of disguises, something that would cover their bottom, as not to show the lack of tail. Trunks also needed a hood, since his hair was so different from the other Saiyans. After zipping up their jackets, the team headed out to a small Saiyan village.
Ah, so this is where our folks used to live, huh, Vegeta?
Ha! As if my father would ever come down to the slums.
Vegeta smirked, pointing upwards towards the castle, looking over the cliff.
I'm sure your family is here, but mine is there.
Goku was in awe, but he felt something grab his arm. It was a short Saiyan man in a lab coat.
Ah, Professor, you're a great scientist. You shouldn't be exposed to the low class. I've got the injured taken care of.
Goku was being pushed back towards a ship, but he simply teleported over to his friends, leaving the Saiyan doctor confused. The three headed into the village, where it looked as if many Saiyans were just returning home. Goku looked around curiously, but many were giving him funny looks. Vegeta was a little uncomfortable, seeing just how the low class lived in comparison to him. Much more poverty. But Goku wandered off towards the smell of food, walking towards a butchery. There was wonderful meats everywhere he looked. A large curtain was in the back, and Goku was sure that that's where they kept the best meat. Goku swung the curtain open, but there was no meat there. Instead, there was an incubator with a familiar baby inside.
Kakarot?
Goku turned around, thinking Vegeta had just called out his name. But he met the eyes of not Vegeta, but a different Saiyan, a Saiyan that had his hand pointed at him. A green orb of ki lit up the entire room to reveal a woman behind the man, a woman that looked as if she wanted to kill Goku.
Who are you, one of King Vegeta's goons? Kakarot isn't ready to leave for a mission yet. I know what you all did to Paragus' son a few years back. I'm not letting you send my son off before he's ready.
Goku glanced back at the incubator, putting two and two together. Goku may not have been the smartest, but he wasn't a complete idiot.
Yes, I'm a scientist for King Vegeta. I'm not taking him. I'm just checking his power level.
Checking his power level without a scouter?
Damn it, I forgot they can't just sense ki. Yeah, because when you showed up, the scouter exploded. Old model, you know how they are. Who are you?
I'm Bardock, and this is my wife, Gine. We're Kakarot's parents there, and also Raditz's. He's with the prince right now. I'm sure you know him.
Goku laughed awkwardly, moving towards the exit of the butchery. He said that, of course he knew Raditz, a wonderful kid, and Goku was gone. Bardock and Gine looked at each other confused, but closed the curtain behind them. Bardock had something to talk to Gine about. Goku did become curious, lowering his power level to be undetectable. He floated over to the curtain and listened in. Bardock told Gine about how he suspected Frieza was going to kill the Saiyan race, and how he wanted to save his son. Goku's face dropped. He looked sadly at the ground. It had been thanks to these two that he was spared. Apparently, not all the Saiyans were heartless monsters like his brother and Nappa. Well, Vegeta had proven that long ago. Just as the curtain opened back up, Goku teleported away to Vegeta and Trunks. While Goku had been snooping around the lower levels, Vegeta and Trunks had gone up to the castle. They looked in from their stained glass window at the king pacing back and forth inside the castle. He whispered to himself about the Super Saiyan legend and how Frieza was so scared of him. He seemed to be going a little crazy under the pressure of the tyrant. Vegeta didn't like seeing him like this. As soon as the king retreated back to his quarters, Trunks and Vegeta zoomed inside. The guards were none the wiser as they moved too fast for them to ever see. Vegeta went straight towards his room. On his way there, he had to go through the dining room, remembering back to how Beerus stepped on his father like he was nothing. Once Vegeta entered his room, he looked around nostalgically. The room was nearly empty, with just a bed and some weights. He recalled the time when he had to decorate Trunks' room similarly to his own, but Bulma insisted on making it more colorful, which Vegeta ended up liking a lot. When Trunks caught up to his dad, He was a little surprised to see the gray room. Before he could say anything, Vegeta turned back around and walked out. He liked going through the old castle and explained many things to Trunks, including pointing out the paintings of the great-grandfathers and kings. Suddenly, the sound of Goku's teleportation echoed through the hall.
Damn it, Kakarot!
Vegeta, we have to do something!
Who goes there?
King Vegeta had stepped into the room and was staring directly at Vegeta. Vegeta let go of Goku. Trunks looked down at his father, who turned away from the king.
Prince Vegeta? Huh. Your son is no older than 10. How could I be him?
King Vegeta was a little insulted, but in reality, Vegeta knew that he had lost track of just how long it had been since he'd last seen his son.
Get the hell out of my castle!
Vegeta shrugged, and the three sped out towards the window, shattering the glass. King Vegeta was angry, telling the guards to follow them. The Saiyan soldiers were quick to the team's tail, but Goku and the rest didn't want to hurt them. But they were given no choice when they shot a blast to Trunks. Though he dodged it, the blast created an explosion in the shipyard by hitting a space pod, using a godbind on the pair of guards that caused them to fall to the ground, powerless. Goku and Vegeta returned to the time machine, where Goku finally got to talk to the pair.
We need to do something! All these people are gonna die!
Goku, we can't mess with time. I've already created more trouble than I should have.
The kid's right, Kakarot.
Well, I'm not just gonna sit by knowing everyone here's gonna die. I heard my father and mother talking. They sound like good people.
Goku.
They're Saiyans, Kakarot. They're not good people.
Are they any worse than Frieza? Gohan tried to explain this to me once, but you came from a different timeline, which ended up changing ours into a safer one than yours, right?
Yes, but
Then doesn't that mean we might create a new timeline if we save this one?
I guess I did say something like that before we came here. But
Trunks.
I guess we can save this one reality's planet Vegeta.
Goku and Vegeta smiled and nodded. Vegeta felt strange about all of this as night fell. Vegeta and Trunks went to sleep, but Goku sneaked out, following Bardock's key signature. He made sure to stay far away, but he was able to see how his mother and father sent him off to planet Earth. It was a little painful to hear Gine's cries, and Bardock telling him to survive. Goku followed his own spaceship with his eyes until it was gone. Goku sighed, but smiled lightly, thinking back to his grandfather, and how he met him not long after this happened. Vegeta explained to them that it took a whole month for all the Saiyans to get back to planet Vegeta, and said that him and the others ignored orders. Vegeta, Trunks, and Goku decided to go ahead and go a month into the future. But before that, Goku watched as Bardock went around various Saiyans trying to warn them about Frieza, that they could stop him if they teamed up, but nobody believed him. Goku clenched his fist as he got onto the time machine. Once they appeared again, they saw how a giant Frieza ship hovered over planet Vegeta. They had planned getting ready for a second, but Goku saw Bardock and a handful of Saiyans blast off towards Frieza's ship. The team instantly rushed along with them. Bardock and the others were surprised, especially with Vegeta being there. He was obviously part of the royal family, or at least an elite.
Who are you three?
We're friends.
Without further explanation, the team of Saiyans embraced themselves for the attack of the Frieza Force. From every angle, aliens attacked them. The Z-Fighters had an easy time with them, but they made sure to watch their power level as to not alert the other Saiyans too much. Even so, they were able to beat down the soldiers easily. Bardock felt something familiar with Goku, and the two finished off the first wave of fighters with a final blast, back to back. Bardock smirked at Goku, but it wasn't over. The next wave was comprised of stronger fighters, including Zarbon, Dodoria, and the Ginyu Force. The Z-Fighters cursed out loud. They definitely had to use more power. The Saiyans were shaking in fear in front of the soldiers. But Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, and even Bardock stood tall. Burter flashed forward to punch Bardock in the face, but the blue alien was surprised to see Goku, who caught his fist. In an instant, Goku slammed Burter against Jaice, while Trunks sliced through Goldo and Recoome. Vegeta fired a big bang attack at Zarbon and Dodoria. Now it was just Ginyu, but the coward tried to switch bodies with Goku. This time, Goku knew the trick. When the beam pushed his way, Goku teleported, and instead, Ginyu switched bodies with another Frieza soldier. The confusion allowed Bardock to kill Ginyu with a spirit cannon. Finally, Frieza rose up from his ship, clearly upset about the situation. Without saying a word, he lifted one finger up and threw a sphere down them. Frieza didn't laugh. He was not amused. He wanted them dead. The Saiyans felt helpless, as some yelled out in fear. Bardock tried to blast at the sphere, but Goku put his hand on Bardock's arm, telling him to put it down. Some way, somehow, Bardock knew to trust them. He disengaged, and the three Saiyans stepped towards the sphere. It looked as if it consumed them whole. Bardock closed his eyes, accepting death, thinking about his two sons and his wife. But he heard a deep scream and felt a wave of air push him back. When he opened his eyes, the sphere was gone, and in its place was a huge golden aura that engulfed the three strangers. Every scouter around them exploded, including Frieza's. His mouth dropped open as soon as he saw the three, who had destroyed his key ball with just their auras. Frieza knew what this was, though he didn't want to accept it.
No, 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 no! This can't be real! The legend was nothing but that, a legend! There is no way there's a real Super Saiyan, let alone 3!
Super Saiyan?
Bardock's heart skipped a beat at the realization that the legend was true. Of course, Goku and the others didn't need to transform to beat this version of Frieza, but they did want to instill both hope into the Saiyans and fear into Frieza. The Tyrant transformed into his final form, blasting the three with multiple death beams, though Goku and Trunks deflected each of them while moving towards Frieza. Vegeta was the one in the middle who simply dodged them. Vegeta said to leave this to him. Goku and Trunks stepped away, and Vegeta smirked. He let his power fall to match Frieza, and even told him to go all the way to 100%. Frieza felt ridiculed, but he did so, and the battle started between the two, with Vegeta limiting himself in order to have a fair fight.
How can such power be real? Oh, this is nothing. Vegeta's just playing with him, trust me. If you and the other Saiyans train some more, anything is possible.
Goku glanced over at the planet.
Just use it for good once Frieza's done with. At least a planet Vegeta will be saved.
Bardock simply stared at Goku, then back at the fight. When Frieza threatened to blow up the planet again, Vegeta decided it was enough.
This is for the Saiyan race, for Earth, and for me!
What?
Vegeta disappeared out of sight and appeared in front of Frieza with a hand on the Tyrant's chest.
Big Bang attack!
The key ball started out small, pushing Frieza upwards towards a star before expanding and exploding, leaving no trace of the villain. It was over. The three heroes returned back to their base form, and without saying a word, headed back down to the surface. When they returned down, the king welcomed them, mostly jealous about the legend of Super Saiyan being true and not being himself who achieved it. He was shaking a little. He tried to get them detained for a second because he knew something was up. But Vegeta just laughed, as none of the soldiers were willing to approach them. Vegeta simply turned to his father and said,
Broly and his father, you should really apologize to them sometime, King.
Vegeta continued walking away from the crowd, until the king shouted that they would have a great feast in their honor. This made the three Saiyans stop, and agreed to stay a little longer. They stayed until morning, but Bardock was nowhere in sight the entire day. Goku wondered where he could have gone. Saiyans from all over the planet came to thank them, and asked them questions about the transformation. Though Goku tried to be vague, he did give a few hints about how to obtain it. Vegeta mostly ignored everyone. The next day, when they were about to leave, Bardock and Gine finally showed up. Gine was holding baby Kakarot. Bardock had gone on a ship immediately following the battle and intercepted Kakarot's spaceship, bringing him back to planet Vegeta.
I, just wanted to say thank you, if I could know your name.
Out of the way, low-class scum. You're not worthy enough to talk to the legendary Super Saiyans.
Bardock was going to say something, but Vegeta interrupted him.
I don't recall seeing you up there. In fact, show some respect to the half-breed and low-class Saiyan who helped save your planet.
Vegeta pointed with his thumb behind him to Trunks and Goku, and the three walked past Bardock, but he tried to thank them again.
Thank you, Mr.
Don't worry about it. Just promise me something. You'll check up on the Earth every now and again, yeah?
Earth. You mean?
They're gonna go through some hard times without that little one there.
Vegeta glanced over at the baby on Gine's arm. Bardock was confused, but then got a good look at Goku as he walked past them. It couldn't be, could it? King Vegeta tried to stop them from leaving one more time.
Wait, stop! Don't you see you've doomed us all? By beating Frieza and leaving, all you do is leave us with another horrible tyrant.
Wait, wasn't there someone with Frieza when I went to Earth? Someone strong? Vegeta and Goku looked at each other in realization. They had already interfered so much with this timeline, but with a little more hurt? They couldn't do this all for the Saiyans, but maybe they could still help a little. The three turned around smirking. Vegeta was the one to step up front and say,
Alright, you're weaklings now. No way you can take on King Cold and the rest. And we won't do it for you, but we can train you a little.
The Saiyans cheered happily, and Vegeta couldn't help but get a slight smile on his face. Finally, Trunks, Goku, and now him had gotten all to defeat Frieza. But Bardock was completely focused on Goku's face. Regardless of who this person was, they were their only hope against King Cold. Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks wake up the morning after their battle against Frieza. The king fastidiously asked when his training would begin, acting as if it would be him to get the best, most personal training. However, This was not the case. In fact, the team gathered every single Saiyan in the lower levels. Nappa, Vegeta, and Raditz arrived back from their mission, ready to begin training. Vegeta felt he didn't need any training, but he was quick to shut up once he saw Trunks' Super Saiyan power. The three were transformed for the majority of the days, with any scouter in sight exploding.
Okay, well, I haven't trained anyone in a long time, but listen. What we're going to show you is very powerful, but I only want you to use it in self-defense or sparring. What are you talking about? We're Saiyans. We conquer planets. That's our job.
That was only your job because you always served someone. You're savages, weaklings. There's always people stronger than you out there. The only thing you can do is better yourself and protect each other.
Though the Saiyans disagreed completely, they nodded, because they wanted this training. But there were some, like Bardock and Gine, who felt that they had been destroying things for their whole lives. Maybe they would want to save something for once. And to them, this started with saving planet Vegeta. Goku and Trunks began to instruct groups. The Saiyans were not great learners, as most didn't train before, as they relied on their natural skills. So this was harder for some than Goku expected. When King Vegeta stepped up to the front of Goku's group, demanding his teaching to start, Vegeta pushed his way in front of him.
Actually, you're not training with them. At least not yet. Come with me.
King Vegeta was confused, but he did so. The two went together into a small spaceship. Vegeta knew more or less where he wanted to go. He turned it on and blasted into space.
Where the hell are you taking me? To visit an old friend.
It wasn't long before Vegeta and his father landed on a remote green planet. Vegeta had been there once or twice to visit this person, but he wasn't really familiar with the area.
Vampa, why have you taken me here?
Broly, quit playing with that damn thing.
King Vegeta's eyes widened as he focused on the giant green creature, play fighting with a small Saiyan child. And his father down below. The father was about to blast the creature's ear, but Vegeta grabbed his arm.
What the? Trust me, you don't want to do that.
King Vegeta?
I'm a friend. King Vegeta's back there. We've come for you.
King Vegeta looked solemnly at Paragus, and then looked to the ground. Broly rushed down and hid behind his father. Paragus was overcome with joy at the sight of two Saiyans. So much so that he hugged Vegeta, but was pushed uncomfortably away. Even still, he wasn't happy to see King Vegeta. The king didn't say another word, but he didn't have to. Vegeta turned to him and said,
That kid could have been your salvation against Frieza. With maybe just some proper training, instead I had to step in. You're lucky this universe's planet Vegeta's okay.
Everyone there was confused. After saying goodbye to Ba, they all headed to planet Vegeta. However, on the way there, Paragus got an impulse to kill King Vegeta. But before he could reach for his blaster, Vegeta stepped in front of Paragus. He told him that this rescue should be enough of an apology, and told him that now that Frieza was dead, there would be a room in the castle for him. King Vegeta wanted to argue against it, but accepted it. He was in front of the legendary Super Saiyan. There was nothing he could do. Once they returned, they saw how messy the operation had become. While Trunks' team was okay, Goku's team was all over the place. The majority of his team was elites, who didn't want to listen to that low class. Goku didn't seem to realize just how bad it was. He turned around to see Broly.
Ah, Broly, can't believe you gave us so much trouble.
Trouble? How do you know my son? Kakarot, you idiot!
Hey, don't call me an idiot, Vegeta.
Both of you, shut up! All of the Saiyans were staring at them, especially Bardock. There's no way. But he really thought this was his son, grown up. How? Stranger things have happened. Vegeta and Goku awkwardly laughed, and the king asked why he was being called Vegeta.
I'm not. That's not my name. Don't worry about it.
Gine yelled out from the crowd asking why they called her son an idiot, and Trunks facepalmed. It looks as if a crisis had been averted. The little Prince Vegeta was clearly more willing to talk to a Super Saiyan that was an elite. In fact, Vegeta pretty much took over most of the training. Days went on with difficult training, but Goku focused primarily on training Broly. He wanted to teach him how to control his power, somehow. After all, he knew that he would have a similar task in the future, once he met the reincarnation of Majin Buu. Broly took a liking to Goku, and Paragus appreciated someone taking the time to teach his son. However, Goku made sure to tell Broly that he didn't need to fight if he didn't want to. He made that mistake once before with Gohan. He wasn't going to do it again. He also promised him to take him to visit Ba sometime before he left. But Broly was happy to fight and learn, which Goku anticipated because of how well he did in their battle. And finally, Vegeta trained the most powerful warriors. They slowly began to listen to him, but above all, they saw the friendship the three Saiyans had, challenging each other while pushing each other up. It looked as if, at least for some, they could do more for themselves than just take over planets. but Goku and Vegeta couldn't figure out how to teach them Super Saiyan. While Goku taught Gohan over a long period of time, Vegeta tried a different approach with Kaba. Maybe Goku could do something similar. This did work before. During some sparring, Goku battled a group of Saiyans, including Bardock. One by one, the Saiyans fell to the power of Super Saiyan, until it was just Goku and Bardock. Their battle was great, and it drew everyone's attention, but Goku knew this was the moment he was waiting for.
Come on, this can't be your full power.
How can I compete against a Super Saiyan?
You can climb over any wall with enough hard work. Come on! You want your kids to die? Gine, Raditz, Kakarot?
What?
King Cold will kill them all, and if you try to send him to Earth again, he'll just find him and kill him.
No. No way. We have to.
Goku smirked, throwing Bardock across the field, raising his arm out and blasting him. As the blast consumed him, he thought of his kids, his wife, his team, and even the royal family. The stranger was right. He had to do it. Suddenly, he felt a huge surge of energy around him, something familiar. The stranger explained to the Saiyans that Super Saiyan feels like a tingling sensation in the back, a sensation he started to feel at this moment as his emotions exploded. Once the smoke cleared, the Saiyans watched as Bardock rose from the forest in a golden aura, hair standing up. He had achieved Super Saiyan. Bardock rushed at Goku, punching him with full force. Goku barely moved, but he smirked. Finally, progress. The Saiyans all around him cheered, except for the king and the prince. But with no time to waste, Goku and the rest began to instruct the Saiyans. Little by little, they started to get it. Super Saiyan was just a tingly sensation, but also a raw emotion. Not everyone could achieve it, of course, since one requires a certain amount of cells to transform, but many did, some taking longer than others. It was an amazing sight. Though Goku trained Broly, he was careful with him. He had seen what his transformations could do. He really needed to teach him to control his power before he could transform. Regardless, Vegeta and the King were two Saiyans who had the most trouble. That was until it was revealed to the prince that it was in fact a half-breed that was teaching them, and Vegeta mocked his younger self by hinting at everything that he was scared of. Eventually, the kid got it, and his father followed suit. It also helped that they had many Saiyans to spar with, pushing each other to their limit and getting Zenkais along the way. Additionally, they taught them all to read Ki. This was an essential ability to have an edge over their invaders. One day, while all the Saiyans were playing, eating, and fighting, Goku and the other two time travelers felt a great power coming towards the planet Vegeta. Since they had the most experience sensing Ki, they got a read of it long before anyone else did. It was time to warn them. The king, who was training with Bardock and his squad along with a few other Saiyans, gathered everyone around. Even through their power-ups, Goku could tell they were all terrified. They hadn't felt King Cold's nor Frieza's Ki. Without numbers, they really couldn't tell how strong they were.
We have to leave now.
You all have made amazing progress.
Goku smiled. As usual, even if a little, Goku had been able to change bad people. Instead of being horrible planet conquerors, these Saiyans spend their days bettering themselves, something that took Vegeta a long time to realize. He only hoped that this would keep up after they leave. The Saiyans tried to get them to stay, but there was no arguing. The three told them that King Cold was coming their way, and to be ready. Without telling them, they would watch the battle from far away. The Saiyans sped off, but Bardock grabbed Gine's hand, rushing after them. They needed answers before they left. The three knew they were being followed, so Trunks and Vegeta sped off. They expected Goku to follow, but instead, he stopped. He met Gine's eyes in the middle of the forest. Bardock didn't expect him to stop either, but he was glad.
I just have one question.
Who are you? I'm a friend, just like we've been saying. I'm sorry I can't specify.
But why? Why are you helping us? Are you a resurrected Saiyan from old? Are you one of us we never met? Are you?
Bardock looked over to his son in his wife's arms, then back at the stranger. Goku smiled at them, hugging the two. It wouldn't matter anymore. After all, Trunks met Vegeta in this way.
I'm sorry for having lied. It's strange and I don't really understand it myself, but we came from a different future. My name is Goku, Son Goku. But you two, you can call me Kakarot.
Goku placed 2 fingers on his forehead, and without anything else to say, he disappeared over to his friends. Gine didn't understand. She could have lost her head right then and there, but Bardock gained conviction. He knew what he was fighting for. He was fighting for his 2 sons. At this very moment, he put a hand on Gine's back, letting her know that it would be okay. It was time. The sun was eclipsed by a small fleet of ships. King Cold had arrived. But he wasn't alone. A small probe ship had gone and collected Frieza's body. Now the reconstructed Frieza and his father were coming for revenge. Their power levels were massive, above all the Saiyans, even with Super Saiyan. But when the Saiyans had a huge army of them, Frieza and King Cold at the helm of a small band of soldiers. All the Saiyans kneeled before them. Frieza inspected them. He wanted them to suffer. Starting with the king, Frieza walked up to him, pulling his fist back. Frieza slammed his fist against the king's face, but the king smirked. He was barely scratched. Frieza didn't use his full power, of course, just enough to kill him, at least to kill the old King Vegeta. The king stood up as his aura erupted. Frieza's eyes widened, and his heart dropped. Behind King Vegeta, every other capable Saiyan rose, bursting their golden auras open. An army of Super Saiyans were ready to face the tyrant. It was a nightmare for Frieza, and the future for the Saiyans. Without any more words, all the Saiyans rushed at the Frieza force. Frieza shook in fear as the Saiyans and ki bolts flashed around him. His whole world was collapsing. King Cold slapped him in the back of the head, making him react. Frieza took on as many Saiyans as he could, utilizing everything in his arsenal. He was able to take down quite a few by using his tail, along with death beams. King Cold, too. However, once the Frieza soldiers were all defeated, King Cold and Frieza had their backs against their own ship. Their powers are nothing against Frieza, even when transformed. But as a team, they still have a hard time. But they do better. They begin to overwhelm the two tyrants, in fact, because of the large numbers. Not only that, but psychologically, Frieza was being torn down. Some fell during the battle, but Frieza and Cold couldn't keep up with the sheer number of Saiyans. But then, Frieza wished to end it all. He rose up to the sky, launching a giant sphere to destroy the planet. His father called him insane, and the army of Saiyans, led by Bardock, all held the sphere back. But the power was so much that the ground below them began to break. Far away, Goku felt the ki of one person, who hadn't been fighting a lot, besides protecting someone. But he knew he was their only hope now. Goku didn't want to intervene, but he didn't want to see people die either. Neither did Trunks. Trunks couldn't handle it anymore. He was going to step in, but Goku held him back. The person was finally going to step in. The sphere Frieza threw down started to be pushed back rapidly. Bardock looked to his side and was surprised to see it was just the kid pushing it. Meanwhile, Frieza grabbed Prince Vegeta, but the kid wasn't about to be defeated easily. He fought with all his might. King Vegeta watched from under the sphere as his kid did what he could to stand up against Frieza. And in those moments, he realized how much his son fought like the strange Saiyan who taught them. The king smirked.
I don't fear you!
Then you will die braver than most.
Vegeta spat at Frieza, who punched in one more time.
Look at you, Prince Vegeta, so pathetic. No kingdom, no crown, and soon no planet. All alone.
He's not alone!
Frieza looked up, his eyes widening along with his dad's. The sphere he threw down was being held by a child in one hand. Broly. And behind him, Bardock, Gine, Towa, Nappa, Raditz, King Vegeta, and any other Saiyan alive stood tall with their auras as powerful as ever. The sphere was pushed far, traveling up to the sky and creating a huge explosion. There was something strange about Broly. His hair stood a little, and he had a yellow glow to his eyes. Goku smirked. Broly had entered into his berserk state, but he could control it. Goku knew that if Vegeta and other elites could control their Ozaru power, then Broly could too. But above that, Broly's aura burst open with his own golden hue, a power never felt before. King Vegeta and Paragus smirked at each other, lifting their arms up along with every other Saiyan and blasting the tyrant with a giant wave of ki. The Saiyan spirit cursed through the world, and it was over, as if they were never there to begin with, only a crater left behind. The Saiyans cheered loudly, but then they were all blasted away by an explosion. Broly's power was surging, overflowing. Controlling Super Saiyan with such a massive power was too much for the young kid. And although he had made huge progress towards it, it looks like his training wasn't over. Goku knew what to do. Before Paragus could shock his son, he teleported to him, and then over to Vampa. Hugging him lightly as to not let him hurt anyone else, the two landed on top of a friend. Broly had told Goku about him during the training. And sure enough, this allowed Broly to calm down. They stayed there for a while, and eventually returned. Upon their return, Broly was celebrated as a hero. Goku told everyone that he would need it to be treated well, and taught to control his power. He was a special kid. He would need the whole planet's support through it. Vegeta and Trunks smiled proudly at the Saiyan race, but Goku wanted to leave them with one more lesson. A lesson that his master Roshi had taught him.
Learn well, play well, eat well, and rest well. The Kame style is with you. Remember, there'll always be someone stronger than you. Another goalpost for you to meet. Keep improving yourselves and watch out for any bad guys coming your way.
Goku gave his family a thumbs up. and ruffled baby Goku's hair as he walked past Gine. Bardock and Gine waved him goodbye, saying,
Goodbye, son Goku.
Now we must really leave, but you can take care of yourselves. Thank you, son.
Vegeta looked at his father perplexed. So did the young prince, but the king couldn't help but shoot a smirk at him. Vegeta smirked back, and with that, the three strangers were gone, leaving behind a new adventure for the Saiyans. But as the crew returned back to the present, Trunks asked a little question of the heroes.
Listen, this was probably a huge mistake. I violated many time travel laws, as we know, but I think it was worth it. I think.
I agree. I'm proud of them.
Huh.
If you all want, we can visit a different time.
Where could we go?
Well, we went to your childhood. How about mine?
I like that idea.
We should probably visit your mother first, Trunks. But after that...
Alright then, setting course.
With another adventure on the horizon, our Dragon Team eagerly awaits the new challenges ahead. But as for the story of the different planet Vegeta, only time will tell their fate.
Hey kids, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, sorry to interrupt the video, but I wanted to make sure to give a huge shout out to my great friend Josh from Dragon Ball University. You may recognize him as the voice of nearly every character in my videos. His channel is nearing 20,000 subs. He's been in Rising Fist videos and has some amazing videos himself, as well as some new series he will start soon. Be sure to check them out. I will appear in them too. So, show your appreciation by subscribing to him. Thank you guys. Anyways, back to the show.
Back to our show.
The time machine zoomed through space and time. Goku held onto it with excitement. Where would they go? Maybe the defeat of King Piccolo, or the Red Ribbon Army battle. His answers came when the time machine reappeared not too far from his old home at Mount Pautsu. The Saiyan hopped off, and then Goku looked around for Bulma's car. She would be here any second now, right? But Goku heard something that made his heart drop.
Goku! Hey Goku! Where are you, kid?
Goku's eyes widened as he saw a short figure of his old grandfather Gohan. This was a fateful day, Goku remembered. The next morning he would find his grandfather dead. He didn't know it back then, but it was his Ozaru transformation that caused the destruction. Goku took a step forward, reaching out. He was pretty far away, but he wanted to get up close to his granddad. Trunks grabbed his shoulder and stopped him.
Goku, things got really messy at Planet Vegeta. We should be careful not to be seen here, you know?
Yeah, I know, Trunks. It's just that...
Goku's voice was interrupted by a slam against his head. The Saiyan held his head in pain and looked back, expecting Vegeta to have hit him, but to his surprise, it was instead himself. Little kid Goku. Trunks slammed his own face against the time machine, giving up on being discreet. Vegeta crossed his arms, sizing up the child. He laughed at Kakarot, wondering how such a weakling could get this far. Goku patted himself on the head, but the kid stepped back, asking why they were stalking his granddad.
Stalking? We aren't. You're Goku, right? We just wanted to see you and your granddad.
The little kid looked at the three, focusing on Vegeta. That guy looked like bad news. But whatever it was, him and his grandpa could take care of it. Kid Goku threw a dead tiger over his head and led them towards the house. Once there, adult Goku gulped, waiting to see his grandfather. He remembered meeting him once more after he died, but it's been so long since then. Kid Goku knocked, and the doors swung open. The child jumped to hug his granddad.
Oh, Goku, nice catch today. Who are these men you've brought by? Friends?
Grandpa...
You must be one of the young martial artists. Yes, I'm
Grandpa Gohan nearly tumbled to the ground when Goku threw himself into a hug. Gohan was weirded out, but it was a surprising familiarity. He couldn't help but hug him back.
Oh, it's good to meet you too. What are your names?
I'm Son.
Goldo, he's Goldo. I'm Ginyu, over there is Raccoon. We're traveling martial artists.
Right.
It's wonderful to meet you all. Do you want to stay for dinner? Goku, will you cook up that tiger?
He was very wise, and Goku couldn't help but attentively listen to everything his grandpa said. There were even stories he didn't know about. Adventures with the Ox King and Roshi, many tales he never got to hear as a kid. Vegeta didn't care much for these stories, so instead, he took out little Goku for some sparring. He was very weak, but for some reason, Vegeta was compelled by the novice moves he used, and even noticed patterns still present in the adult Goku. Vegeta had to really watch himself not to hurt the kid, but it was obvious that Goku was learning as he and Vegeta sparred. While they were out, Grandpa Gohan shut the door and turned in a flash to grab Goku by the collar.
I know there's something fishy here. Your ki is strange, and don't think I didn't notice you wearing that turtle uniform. Did you do something to Roshi? You also look like Goku. Are you his family? How did he end up in a ball to Earth?
Well,
His real name is Goku.
What? You share a name?
no, I am him. I am Son Goku. I know it must be hard to believe, but
Not at all, trust me. I've seen my fair share of strange things. I knew from the moment I felt your ki there was something familiar. You look tired, Goku.
I need to tell you something. I'm sorry, but
A
Kakarot!
huge roar shook the entire house, and Gohan swung the doors open once more. Goku had transformed into a giant monkey, and the forest was burning around him. Vegeta ran towards the house, unsure of what to do. He knew that Goku killed his grandfather in this form, and wasn't sure if he should intervene. Vegeta hadn't realized that it was a full moon while the two trained. Grandpa Gohan rushed towards the Ozaru, trying to stop him in any way he could, but it was useless, and would soon succumb to the ape.
Goku.
Trunks, one more time. Us going back in time created a new time whatever, right?
Well, yeah, in theory, that's how it always.
Then this should be fine.
Goku pulled back his arm, reminiscing on the last time he saw his grandpa. Gohan gasped, and the Ozaru grabbed him and could crush him any second. Goku then pushed himself forward, grabbing onto the Ozaru's tail and slamming the beast against the ground with such force that it became unconscious instantly. Trunks jumped up, saving Gohan from the grip of the monster. Trunks hoped that Beerus would never find out about these little trips, because this is already the second timeline they've changed. But could he blame Goku? Was he really expected just to watch his grandfather die by his hand? Vegeta looked down at the unconscious Ozaru. Now he was getting a little nostalgic, and smirked. He could still feel his tail around his waist. He had an idea. The next morning, Grandpa Gohan woke up with a wet rag on his forehead and some bandages. He looked around the empty house, maybe seeing the older Goku was just a dream. But then he heard something.
Alright now, focus on your tail. Remember, your tail is the key!
Grandpa Gohan opened the door and he was surprised to see the young Goku training alongside Vegeta while Trunks and Goku coached from the sidelines. Vegeta was training Goku how to nullify his tail weakness, the key to controlling the Ozaru form. It would take a long time for a kid like him to master this form. To Vegeta's surprise, he was getting it rather quickly. Vegeta realized that Kakarot had always been a prodigy. Vegeta and Kakarot told Kid Goku all about his Ozaru form, something he was completely unaware of. He just remembered waking up naked. Trunks ran to Gohan and explained exactly what Saiyans were, and to not worry, as they would teach Goku how to control it. Gohan was a little overwhelmed, so he sat down next to Trunks. Grandpa Gohan asked for Trunks' and Vegeta's relation to Goku, and Trunks awkwardly explained most of the events of Dragon Ball Z. Gohan, being such a simple man, couldn't fathom time travel, let alone aliens. But when he saw adult Goku smiling, he just knew it to be true. Gohan also told Trunks that he had been very brave in his future timeline.
Oh, well, I couldn't have done it without Goku and the others, especially my master.
I know how that is. Who was your master?
Actually, he was Goku's son. His name was Son Gohan.
That boy. I'm flattered, but I take it by then I must be long gone.
Trunks stayed quiet, but Gohan nudged him and asked him to spar a little. All of them were having lots of fun. Gohan was very honored. A little over a month went on like this, and it was obvious that Kid Goku had become incredibly powerful thanks to his training with Vegeta and his adult self, leagues ahead of where he was in the original series. Kid Goku was knocked away by a purple blast, the Gallic Gun. Vegeta was holding back, obviously, so Goku laughed it off. But the kid looked at his hands and mimicked the Saiyan, firing his own small blast.
Oh, great, Vegeta. Now we can learn the Gallic Gun instead of the Kamehameha.
Huh, for the best too. Much better name.
You're messing my little self up.
Finally, it was time to eat. Gohan made some incredible food for the lot. But the main event came about when little kid Goku stared at Goku and Vegeta all night, eyes darting back and forth. Finally, he laughed and asked, who is stronger?
Well, I am.
Don't make me laugh, Kakarot.
Oh, is that another challenge?
I really don't think we should.
You're on, Kakarot!
Goku and Vegeta rushed outside, instantly bursting into Super Saiyan. This fight was like nothing neither Gohan nor Kid Goku had ever seen. Their jaws dropped to the floor so fast. Grandpa Gohan looked down at Kid Goku and then back up at the Golden Warrior. This much power was held inside little Goku. Each punch landed shook the earth a tiny bit more, but it was obvious to the two that this could not be finished like this. So, Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan was the move. Another punch and bam! The earth rumbled all around. Gohan was surprised to lose the key signature. Their eyes just couldn't see them anymore. But unknown to the fighters, the shaking of the earth caused something terrible to happen. An explosion came from the ocean, and a green creature floated up high, holding a rice cooker. The turbulence had broken the seal of the Mafuba, and now the Demon King Piccolo roamed free. He was tired and decrepit, but ready to take over the world. Instantly, he created a small army of creatures and targeted the nearest city. It wasn't long before the buildings were being swarmed by flying demons of every kind. Goku and Vegeta stopped their fight instantly. They could feel a strange spike of ki. Vegeta recognized it as Piccolo's, but it was strange. It felt dark and vengeful. He asked Goku what was going on, and they turned to the others. Vegeta knew what Kakarot was thinking, as he floated over to them and teleported to the key signature. Gohan and Kid Goku didn't sense it at first, but were both surprised once they finally reached them. Gohan in particular recognized the name, Piccolo. That was the monster that Roshi had warned them about. However, he had no doubt that these future warriors could take him on.
Alright then, Goku, he's all yours.
What? Just watch. He can do it.
Ha! What are you? A little thing like you? Move out of the way or be crushed under the might of Demon King Piccolo.
Goku was excited for the challenge, even if a little unsure. The kid rushed towards Piccolo, but Tambourine and Drum jumped onto him. Goku spun his expanding power pole in front of it, smashing the demons. As they flew off, Goku and Vegeta blasted them, but the army seemed endless, as Piccolo ordered his demons to attack and created even more. While Goku was stronger than most of them, he was being overwhelmed. It was then when Vegeta smirked and fired something to the sky.
Burst open and mix!
Trunks watched in awe as the artificial moon was created, asking Vegeta if he was insane, but Vegeta simply watched Goku transform. The monster attacked everything and everyone. Roars sounded off and the city shook, but Gohan was forced to dodge out of the way. Had Vegeta failed?
Kid, remember what I taught you? You're in there somewhere. Focus on your tail.
Goku kept rampaging on. That was until adult Goku saved Gohan from being stomped on and flew up high to face the Ozaru. The monster's eyes focused on the old man, and his heart began to beat faster and faster. Then, snap. A voice came from the monster, a deep, terrifying one.
I've got it. I can do it.
In an instant, the Ozaru focused on the army and stomped on them, firing mouth blasts. The heroes still needed to be careful, but Goku was controlling the Ozaru. Slowly, Piccolo's army was defeated, and the demon began to shake in fear. But he could take Goku on, right? Him and whatever army was left attacked the monster, but couldn't get through to him no matter how hard they tried. Piccolo realized, much as he did in the Saiyan arc, that it must be this moon that caused the transformation. Piccolo attempted to destroy it, but to no avail. Goku realized what Piccolo was trying to do. The young Saiyan thought he'd like a challenge.
Can you make the moon go away? I want to fight him one-on-one. No transformations.
Spoken like a true Saiyan.
Vegeta retracted the moon, and Goku went back to normal, naked. Vegeta threw a pair of pants at Goku, and the battle began once more. In this state, Goku was around Piccolo's power, but not there just yet. Even so, Piccolo was demoralized, to the point where he couldn't fight at his best. In a last-ditch effort to win, Piccolo rose up to the sky and fired one final attack. Goku was tired, beat, and hurt. Could he win?
Listen to me. You can beat him easily. I've seen what you can do with your power. You can win because you're a Saiyan raised on Earth. You can win because you are Son Goku!
Goku nodded and faced Piccolo. For a second, Goku's eyes glimmered yellow, as if the power of the Ozaru was still within him. His aura burst open, surprising the rest. Then a pink orb of ki charged up, and Goku fired it with full force. The Gallic gun didn't even struggle. It simply burst through the blast and reached Piccolo, sending him hurling down. In his dying breath, Piccolo birthed one more offspring. But to his surprise, he watched as Trunks caught the egg. King Piccolo then died. Kid Goku smiled to his friends, and the older Goku patted him on the head. This had been an awesome adventure, but it was about time for them to leave. The next morning, Trunks and the others said their goodbyes, but they felt a strange key appear, something familiar to Goku.
I thank you all for defeating Piccolo, but I need that egg. Hey, Kami, long time! Do I know you? Not yet, but hey, this egg is okay here, trust me. It contains the spawn of King Piccolo. It must be sealed. Let me tell you a secret. In the future, this egg will save the entire world multiple times. It just needs to be shown the way. Lucky for you, I know someone who's great at raising alien kids. Son Gohan here. Alien?
Don't worry about it.
I don't know what to say. If Gohan agrees, then it'll be alright. After all, little Goku could take Piccolo Jr. easily. I'd be happy to have another member of the Sun family. I will keep an eye on you all. But your power was impressive, and for some reason, I feel I can trust you.
Kami disappeared slowly, and the Saiyans said their goodbyes. In his mind, though, Vegeta thought of something as he looked at the little Goku.
Kakarot is such a powerful rival. But what if this little one being trained to control his power at a younger age becomes even stronger? Maybe he could become an ultimate rival. I could revisit this timeline.
The time machine disappeared, taking the Saiyans onto new adventures. They had all the time in the world. Where could they travel to next? But some years later, in the same timeline of Kid Goku, we see that Goku and a short Piccolo battle it out and punch each other with grace. The two are powerful, but this isn't a battle of hate. They had become brothers, as Piccolo was changed over time. Gohan watched them proudly. The two kids landed back down, tired. This is when a capsule car parks up, and a young woman steps out. Gohan smiles, knowing this is the start of a new adventure. As soon as the destroyed city came into view, Trunks swallowed hard. He hadn't told the others where they were going, but both Goku and Vegeta knew instantly. This was Trunks' past. They couldn't tell if it was before or after Black's attack, but their answer would come soon. First, they would need disguises. They didn't work the first time they used it, but this time they would have to be extra careful. They had stopped after their first trip to visit Bulma, where Trunks requested something to dress up with. The only thing she had in hand was the Great Saiyaman outfit. While Goku didn't care, Vegeta refused to wear it. Trunks struggled to find a good outfit for Vegeta and ended up finding a cowboy outfit in a local store. Both Goku and Vegeta realized just how quiet and somber Trunks had been. He never talked much about what happened in the past, and at this point, they realized by sensing ki that Goku Black was nowhere to be found. It must be the androids. The three hit their ki and sped towards the desolated city, and from far away, they felt the ki of two people, Gohan and Trunks. Goku looked over at Vegeta's son, who watched attentively. They hid behind a rock, watching quietly.
Are you okay, kid?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just remember, we can't intervene no matter what.
That worked well the past few times.
Vegeta and Trunks glanced over at Goku, but Goku realized that Trunks' hand was balled up in a fist, nearly making his own hand bleed. Their attention was drawn away when they heard a smack. It was Gohan hitting Trunks in the back of the neck. Trunks rubbed his own neck in response. Vegeta got up to check on him, but Trunks told Vegeta to leave him alone. He'll be okay. Instead, Trunks began heading towards the center of the city. To get there quickly, Goku and Vegeta burst into Super Saiyan God, grabbing Trunks along the way. That way, Gohan couldn't feel their ki. Once they arrived, they watched as this Gohan started to stand up against the androids, 17 and 18. Goku watched proudly as this version of his son seemed as brave as the one he knew, but it was clear that this one had been through a lot of pain. The battle was not going in his favor, however, and the androids were evil, nothing like the ones they knew.
Trunks, when does he turn the tables? I see.
Trunks' eyes began to fill with tears. He had wanted to come here and find out exactly how it went down. He thought he'd be able to do it without having any strong feelings on the matter, that he was more level-headed than his dad or Goku, but he wasn't. As Gohan was being blasted down by 17 and 18, Gohan watched as a blue and golden aura appeared before him, just as he blacked out, the shape of the figure's hair resembling that of a Super Saiyan.
Thanks, Dad.
But it wasn't Goku. It was Trunks. His helmet went flying off as the aura splashed out, sword in hand.
Ah, so the kid finally got the golden hair. You still think you can take us on?
There's only two of you. You don't have any more androids to slow me down.
Trunks slashed clean through 17's arm, and he screamed. How was a sword like that able to cut through him? 18 jumped in, using her android barrier. This stopped another swing, but Trunks' next punch cracked the barrier and pushed the two androids away. Trunks was going to follow up the attack, but Vegeta yelled at him.
Trunks, stop!
I can take them. I can stop this right now.
That's not the issue. Gohan is dying. Where can we take him?
I can also feel your ki heading this way. We gotta go.
Trunks looked back, but the androids were gone. His hair went back to normal, and he fell to his knees. He could recall the first time he used this transformation, and he hugged future Gohan tightly. He felt them fading away. Quickly, he told Goku to lock onto his mother's ki and teleport. Bulma was finishing the plans of the time machine when something came through the door. She was about to ask where Trunks had been all day, but as she turned around, she saw Trunks, but older, a near-dead Gohan, and behind him, Goku and Vegeta. Her eyes filled with tears instantly. It was overwhelming, but she didn't have time to question anything. Telling Trunks to lay Gohan on the table, she began to work on him, not allowing anyone to talk. She had to concentrate. After Gohan was stabilized, she turned around and slapped Vegeta. but instantly fell to his arms with a tight hug. Then brought in Goku for a hug as well. She then moved to look at Trunks, caressing his face with proud love. She said that her son looked tired and could feel the pain behind those eyes. Trunks also hugged her, but as she did, the door swung open.
Mom, I can't find Mom, Dad?
Well, Trunks?
There was no use hiding now. Vegeta took off his cowboy hat. It hadn't done them any good. They all sat down and talked, and to everyone's surprise, Vegeta was the one to get down and explain things to Trunks. He tells him who he is and how he's there. Our future Trunks smiled, knowing how much his father had changed. He even touched his chest, remembering when Cell killed him. But Bulma still didn't understand what happened. She was very upset at Trunks for messing with time more than needed. At least she now knew that multiverse theory was the right one. That made making the machine a little easier. Bulma made food for everyone, and the two Trunkses stared each other down.
How'd you get the sword? You know, I'm actually not sure.
The two sipped their tea, but the little Trunks was very thankful that they had rescued Gohan. He is some of the only family he has after all. Our future Trunks said that he knows, and that he missed them very much. Everyone stayed quiet and just looked at him. But from behind, future Gohan woke up, stepping into the kitchen. Bulma was worried that he could have a heart attack or something from seeing Goku. But before she could say anything, Goku was already right in front of his son. Gohan's eyes widened, and with his one arm, hugged him. It was a long, long hug. Goku said to Gohan that he was very proud of him, and that it will all make sense in a second. But Goku pulled back, and the two Trunkses yelled Gohan's name. They ran up to him. Gohan looked at the older Trunks, and it took him a second to recognize him. However, knowing of Bulma's time machine, he only had one question.
Did we win?
Not yet. We have work to do. But what I was able to do in my own timeline was all thanks to you. Thank you, Gohan.
They explained everything to him and the rest. Meanwhile, far away, 18 and 17 discussed their last defeat. How could that have happened? Something strange had occurred. They saw three figures, one that looked like Goku, and that kid was very different from what they expected. He did mention something strange, more androids. Were there more Red Ribbon androids around? 17 and 18 decided to look at Jiro's old hideout HQ. There, they found a capsule they had not remembered. Android 16. The two opened it, and the hulking android stepped out. This guy was completely mechanical, and potentially very powerful. They could use his help, but would it be enough? Android 16 was only interested in defeating Goku, but according to his data, Goku was already dead. He was going to step back into slumber when 18 stopped him. According to her, the data could be wrong. Not only was Goku's kid alive, but they saw someone who looked very much like Goku in the city. It might be worth investigating. This piqued 16's interest, but recognized that whatever had beaten 18 and 17 was a danger. Perhaps they needed to try and find more resources prior to the fight, including a new arm for Android 17. Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks trained the half Saiyans. By Vegeta's request, Bulma used the remaining of the Namekian spaceships to create a gravity chamber. The young Trunks had trouble adjusting, but slowly began to get it. Vegeta was proud, though he wouldn't say it. Goku and Gohan sparred without saying a word, though it was clear to Goku that Gohan was at a great disadvantage, thanks to the lack of his arm. He was just not used to it. Goku thought long and hard about how to make up for this, and came up with the idea of focusing on his legs as a method of defense and attack. This greatly increased Gohan's ability, and helped him keep up with his father. Goku was reminded of his own timeline's Gohan. Though this one was battle-hardened and knew he needed to fight, he still had a family to protect, and a heart like no other. The goal of the training was to at least advance Gohan's Super Saiyan into Super Saiyan 2, while helping Trunks obtain Super Saiyan 1. This happened during a training session where Vegeta and Trunks fought violently. The kid was knocked down, and Vegeta stood tall over him. The adult future Trunks was going to get closer and tell Vegeta that that was enough, but Vegeta pointed a keyblast at him. He looked at the younger one with disappointment.
How weak! No wonder Gohan didn't want to take you with him.
No, stop.
That other Trunks is 3 times the man you are. But he watched Gohan die.
Trunks punches Vegeta, but Vegeta catches it and brings in Trunks for a hug. After training for a month, Gohan also found Super Saiyan 2 with some help from the adult Trunks. Trunks also wants to push them a little further beyond. As Goku and Vegeta saw, Trunks has a form neither of them do. It was pushed entirely by rage. Trunks explained this to Gohan and Trunks, and though progress is made, Trunks thinks that facing the androids will do the trick. They were ready, but they couldn't find the androids anywhere. Trunks took his little self to destroy Jiro's lab, just in case Cell was going to be born eventually. Meanwhile, 17 obtained a new arm by taking in all androids and 16's help to reattach it. 16 explained that it would be irresponsible to fight as they are now, and that they needed some form of upgrade. He tells them that he knows of a place where Kami, the former guardian of Earth, once lived. at least according to legends. In the original story, when Piccolo fights 17, 16 recognizes that he has fused with Kami. Therefore, he must know a little bit about him. The team heads to the lookout, though it takes them a long time to find it. Once there, they look around, break things, make a mess. They couldn't find many interesting places except for an empty, large chamber. Boring. However, a shadow was moving around. 18 was curious and trapped it. Turned out to be Mr. Popo. She was going to kill him, but 16 stopped her. He questions Popo about the room, but he refuses to explain anything until he's beaten. He simply said that time worked differently. A tired 17 simply flicked him away, off the lookout. They all went inside the room, and after an analysis, 16 realized that the time was going a lot slower in there. Both the androids are in awe. They can't really understand it, but this is what they needed. Though 16 could not get much stronger without technological upgrades, 17 and 18 could train themselves to achieve greater power. They would stay there for a few months. In that time, 16 became very close to the twins, and somehow, someway, they slowly began to change. But their plan was still in full force. In the time the androids were gone, West City started to be rebuilt, and things seemed to be getting better. However, the Dragon team knew it wasn't over just yet. One day, the androids showed up one more time. They didn't destroy anything, they simply found the warriors in a training field. This was it. 16 recognized Goku as his target and instantly went in for an attack. But Goku was a lot stronger than his data indicated. 17 was surprised that Vegeta was still alive. He was sure that he had finished him off properly. Everyone started to fight, but Vegeta pulled our Trunks away, telling him to let Gohan and Trunks handle it. Goku fought 16 in his base form, trying to enjoy a fight he never got. Young Trunks launched himself at 18 as a Super Saiyan, trying his very best against her. Gohan fought 17 bravely, but Gohan noticed that 17 was a lot stronger than before. However, both Gohan and Trunks noticed that they weren't fighting as usual. They weren't fighting to torture, they were just fighting, as if enjoying themselves, not taunting or anything. Something was very wrong.
What's going on? Why aren't you fighting for real? We are.
They spent too much time with that hunk of junk.
Huh?
Tell me, androids, do you still take pride and joy in killing?
Of course.
No, you don't. Because 16 over there taught you the value of life. That happened to the androids in our timeline, too. In fact, the blonde one married one of our friends. And you, 17, saved the entire universe.
What the hell are you talking about, Beansprout? He's right, you know. So, we could end things here.
Without killing anyone else?
Android 17 finally admitted that it wasn't truly fun anymore. In response to this, Gohan got a clean right hook against both the androids' faces. They were sent flying into a rock formation, and they stood up rubbing their faces. Gohan turned around and said, although he should by all accounts kill them, he would rather them just leave. Forever. He's tired of death, and they have caused enough already. He's never going to forgive them.
What the hell are you guys talking about? They destroyed your world.
Trunks, it's over though. If they agree to leave, then...
But they killed you. I watched them destroy your arm. They killed all of our friends.
Which is why I think they should be cast away, but I don't want anyone else to die.
No, I can't allow this.
Trunks, wait!
Trunks was clearly not thinking straight. The decision to travel back here was not a good idea. Too many bad memories. His aura burst into a blue and gold color, the one he had told his younger self about. 17 and 18 defended themselves, but they couldn't quite overpower Trunks, even when working together. Trunks' power was shaking the entire arena, but both Little Trunks and Gohan jumped in to try to stop Trunks. After all, the city was just starting to be rebuilt. They couldn't allow him to undo their progress.
Why are you helping them?
Look what you're doing, Trunks!
Trunks takes one final swing at 17, going for his other arm. But 16 jumps in the way, interrupting his fight against Goku. Trunks cuts the robot's head clean off, and his eyes widen. He instantly powers down. 17 and 18 are panting, both running towards 16. They were angry, but Trunks looked at his hands, dropping his sword. 16 was okay, or at least his head was. Gohan approached him, telling him that Bulma could fix him. Everyone settled down a little, and Trunks took a step back. Vegeta offered that the androids could be taken off to a different Earth and start fresh in a new timeline. Gohan thought this would be best, and the androids agreed. Gohan could never forgive them for what they did, but he didn't have to kill them either. Before leaving, they offered to help them rebuild. But everyone would be scared if they saw them, so they were forced to wear the Great Saiyan Man outfits that Goku and Trunks wore before. They really got to see the destruction they had caused firsthand, and actually began to feel remorse. 16 was rebuilt and reprogrammed as to not kill Goku. He opted to stay in the past and help protect things along with Trunks and Gohan. Plus, he couldn't fit in the time machine. Goku warned them about an evil version of himself, and that they would need to train long and hard in order to save the world. Goku got an idea and teleported over to Beerus' planet. Beerus was asleep, but Goku snuck through in order to meet the Oracle Fish. He told him about the Super Saiyan God that Beerus could fight only if he went to Earth, got Gohan, and had Whis trained him. Just as he was about to leave, he heard footsteps.
Huh? What are you doing here? You have the divine power of the gods. Ah, Lord Whis, ask the Oracle Fish. See ya!
The angel was left confused, but smirked.
Ah, another adventure, huh, Goku?
Goku returned to Earth to say one final goodbye. It was bittersweet, with one final hug between Goku and his son. Vegeta and Bulma embraced as well, and little Trunks too.
I'm sorry I wasn't the best when I lived.
Bulma smiled warmly, explaining that she knew he had his own way of showing love. Future Trunks and future Gohan fist bumped with a bright smile. Gohan told him just how proud he was of him, and Trunks could not help but shed a tear. The team left, ready to return home. It would be weird trying to explain to the other androids about these new ones. They had had many time travel adventures, but it was time to find their way back to their families. But as the time machine traveled through space and time, a small crack was heard, as if a crystal shattered. Only Trunks noticed it, but didn't think it could be anything. But that's for next time on Dragon Ball Super. Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, and the androids find themselves in between time and space. Their travels had taken them all the way from planet Vegeta to Mount Pautsu's past. And now, they were finally returning home with a new set of friends, an alternate set of androids 17 and 18. However, not all was as it seemed. They felt some turbulence in the time machine. Though it was controllable at first, it quickly became rougher and rougher.
Trunks, what's going on?
I don't know. This has never happened before.
The time machine caught speed and came crashing down into nothingness. It slid across a mirror-like surface where it opened up, and all the heroes came flying out. They stood up, a little hurt from the impact. Goku and Vegeta looked around. They hadn't seen anything like this. There were crystals flying around them. Some mirrored them, others showed them events from their past. All of them a little different from what they remembered.
Kakarot, look! This is our first fight! But you're wearing the Saiyan armor, and I'm wearing that lame gi!
It kinda suits you, Vegeta. Oh, and look over here, it's Raditz!
This isn't time for sightseeing. Wherever we are, we have to get out of here. These crystals must be showing us different realities.
Get out of here. There's no way out of here. Although it's nice to have visitors for a change, Goku.
Who are you?
Ah, you're a different Goku from the one Towa and I have encountered. I see. You know it was your father that got me stuck here, between space and time, with no place to call home. But it looks like you have given me my way out.
Look, above us!
The heroes looked up and saw a rip in the area they were in. They must have caused it while traveling. Whatever this being was, he was not good news. Mira instantly fired a blast that caught Trunks off guard, sending him back. Mira said that this whole time he had been stuck in here, and there was plenty of time for him to train by himself, and he was the only person to spar with. Mira duplicated himself, all of the clones being incredibly strong. They rushed at the heroes and a great battle began. Though Goku and Vegeta could keep up, Trunks and the androids were struggling. In fact, Trunks jumped in front of them, protecting them with all his might, using his sword to block every single hit, but Trunks was brought down to his knees. Mira's clone punching the sword over and over again until it shattered. The androids dragged Trunks out of there in order to avoid an I-beam, but it was clear that this warrior was more powerful than they expected. A combined Kamehameha and Gallic Gun allowed them to push Mira back into a crystal, breaking it apart. Trunks cringed at that. He hoped that whatever reality that was okay. Mira smirked, looking at the shattered pieces around him. He pointed his hand out, and the pieces of crystal went flying off towards Goku and Vegeta. Even though they dodged at first, the shards still followed them. They tried to make them crash into Mira himself, but he disappeared. Ultimately, the shards ended up crashing against one another when Goku and Vegeta flew towards each other. But Mira is finally having to struggle a little more. In a desperate move, he pushed Goku into one of the crystals, but instead of shattering them, Goku went through it. He came out the other end in a familiar setting, the Tournament of Power. He bumped into Jiren as he was being thrown out of the arena by Goku and Frieza. The impact made Goku fly off the ring. He felt as he instantly crashed through something again. This time he ended up in Goku Black's future, where he watched Vegito defuse. He finally understood what was happening. Looking up, he realized that there was a rip in reality that he could see through as he was being pushed away. On the other end, he could see a smirking Mira, shaking his head. He wouldn't let him return that easily. From the rip, other enemies began to appear. Frieza, Cell, Boo, Black, even some he didn't recognize, like Baby and Super Android 17. They all pushed him further and further into the crystal as he watched more of his life flash before his eyes. The final Genkidama against Boo, the first Super Saiyan transformation, Ozaru Vegeta, King Piccolo, even his first encounter with Bulma. This was a lot for him to handle while trying to drive off the various villains. With Goku out of the way, Mira was more confident that he could take on Trunks, Vegeta, and the androids. The twins got a good handle of one of the weaker Miras, defeating him, but he was simply replaced by another. Behind him, Mira heard a familiar voice as Towa descended behind him. She smirked and chuckled, explaining that this was no accident that they ended up here. She had been watching them travel through time this whole time. It was her plan all along to have them appear in order to have Mira freed and continue her plan. She looked over at her android, saying that she forgives him for failing him. Now it was time to do things right. With a flick of her staff, she powered up Mira to transcend even further beyond. Now Mira and Towa could kill the heroes and break time apart for good.
Damn it! This is all my fault. If I hadn't taken us back in time.
Will you shut up? You've helped countless numbers of people and turned the fate and way of an entire race. Damn the timelines, you did good.
Father?
Seeing what you had to go through though, Trunks, I'm convinced everything you did has been for the greater good.
Trunks' eyes shone with hope, and he used the sword to stand back up, getting back into fighting stance. Him and Vegeta rushed towards Mira as they watched his aura erupt in a red flare. The fight was intense, and were thankful to be backed up by the two androids. They hoped that Goku would find his way back. Goku had a lot more than he could handle. As he passed through the fight against Broly, the Super Saiyan crashed onto Boo, Super 17, and Cell. At least he wouldn't have to worry about them. Finally, he was able to catch himself mid-air. In the background, he recognized some noise. Himself fighting against Vegeta for the first time. Goku got in a similar battle stance to the fight, and he was ready to take on the villains, Black, Baby, King Piccolo, and Frieza. Bursting into Super Saiyan Blue, he was able to dodge and weave through them all. He noticed that they had dark purple auras, clearly more powerful than their usual selves. The last one left standing was Black, who actually managed to give Goku a lot of trouble. He was honestly kind of happy to fight him again, but he knew that this time he could win. Goku was finally able to defeat him by blasting him with a giant Kamehameha clash. The two beams exploded and Goku Black was defeated, but the real Goku was sent flying backwards into the portal one final time. This time he crashed onto a familiar well, the well next to his childhood home. When he opened his eyes, he saw a smiling man.
Grandpa!
Goku?
Grandpa, I messed up. It's my fault this is happening to the timelines. I just wanted to have an adventure.
Goku, I don't know what is happening, but I told you before, it's okay to make mistakes as long as you make things right.
I don't know about this time. I don't even know how to return home to Chi-Chi, Gohan, Goten, and Pan.
Don't worry, your heart strives to move forward. As long as there is a will to live, you can turn any place into paradise. After all, you are alive. Opportunities for happiness are everywhere.
Grandpa?
As long as you are around, it will all work out. You may just need some help from your friends.
Grandpa Gohan kneeled in front of his grandson, putting a hand on his shoulder. He smiled brightly.
Old Gohan, I heard a crash. What happened?
Goku's eyes widened. This Grandpa Gohan was the one they had visited through their travels, the one he saved from the rampaging Ozaru Goku, and subsequently adopted Piccolo. Goku snapped his fingers. He knew what he had to do. At the same time, the androids got in the way of a blast from Mira towards Trunks, protecting him. But they were at the end of their rope, rolling away and barely being able to stand. Mira laughed loudly, proclaiming that finally space and time had been damaged enough for him to escape. And once more, he got healed by Towa. It is then when a familiar sound rings off. The instant transmission.
Sorry about that, guys, but I'm back now.
I can't get rid of you, huh? This runs in the bloodline, I see. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for your father, that damned Bardock. If Towa and I hadn't picked him up...
Bardock? Well, I've got a surprise for you. Vegeta, Trunks, I brought some friends.
Crystals all around them began to shatter, and pieces from various realities started to appear. A Tuffle tower here, a Frieza ship there. Trunks' eyes widened.
And Trunks' eyes widened. He couldn't believe what he saw. Other realities shattering right in front of him. Wait a second. What am I doing here? Whatever. I won't question it. I'll just head out for now.
All around, heroes from different realities appeared. There was a Super Saiyan 4 Goku fusing with Ultra Instinct Goku, a Goku dressed as a Kaioshin bringing along a pirate Vegeta. There was a Goku dressed in green, and a Gohan carrying a book about Ki, even a Bardock with a red kilt, and a teenage Gohan with ancient Saiyan armor. Everyone was in awe, even Goku himself. As he looked around at the crashing timelines, for a second, Son Goku could have sworn that he saw a red cape dart by.
No way. You couldn't have brought in other versions of yourself.
Heh. So, what if I did?
There was another huge break, and from behind Goku, a huge army of Super Saiyans stood tall. The ones they had helped in their first time travel adventure. The Super Saiyan Bardock smiled proudly at Kakarot. They had spent their last few years experimenting with Super Saiyan, and Bardock even went with Gine to Earth, as instructed by Vegeta. The two protected it from the evil Demon King Piccolo. Then, Grandpa Gohan, along with a 16-year-old Goku and Piccolo, walked up behind them. Piccolo had adjusted well to life with Gohan and Goku, though it took some time. He wanted to kill them at first, but the training together not only made him a better person, but also one of Earth's greatest protectors, even going as far as protecting it from the evil Red Ribbon Army, along with Goku, Krillin, and other friends they made along the way. With some warning from Goku and the others, they had been training in preparation for the arrival of Raditz. Future Gohan and Teen Trunks appeared as well, happy to see Goku and the others once more, nodding at the androids, ready to help Goku as he helped them. But it wasn't just people they had met in their travels. A version of Bardock and Gine with a daughter appeared. Gods from Norse mythology, unlike anything they had ever seen, along with an incredibly powerful Videl, a version of Goku calling himself the Monkey King, wearing a strange outfit and a watch, and another that seemed to be straight out of a comic book. A Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta from a possible future. Hundreds of other Gokus, Krillins, Gotens, Vegetas, and more, with just a few differences. Towa wasn't going to let Goku and his army step all over them, calling them insolent rats. Towa swung his staff once more, this time breaking crystals behind her, letting through a set of villains not unlike those that chased down Goku. Frieza, Cell, Buu, Black, even an alternate version of Broly and Vegeta. It was another huge army.
Son, we are here for you. All of us.
Just lead the way. It's time, Goku. Right. I'm getting kinda excited. Let's do this!
Let's go!
The battle started with a giant blast from Bardock towards Frieza, kicking off another great challenge for the heroes. It was hard for anyone to keep up with blasts and techniques flying everywhere. Some fell, but many rose to the challenge and protected those in need. Future Gohan helping Bardock, GT Trunks saving Future Gohan, even Gogeta and Vegito fighting side by side. Goku and Mira were locked in battle while Trunks and Towa clashed the weapon. Vegeta watched the whole battle in disbelief, but felt something touch his back. It was that other monster version of Broly.
Oh, I'm going to enjoy this. Kakarot!
Vegeta threw a clean punch right into Broly's face, sending him flying off. Androids 17 and 18 helped out the Saiyans, who were very impressed by how powerful their teamwork was. During the fighting, there was someone there that didn't seem to quite belong. He called himself Goku, but he looked more like a regular high school student. He confronted King Piccolo.
I beat you once before, Demon King, and I'll do it again!
I don't even know who you are!
Sadly, that Goku was one of the many casualties. A Goku and a Broly in Yardrat clothing helped each other out, while a Galactic Patrolman Goku battled an android Goku. Bardock's Saiyan squadron reunited with them, but the celebrations were cut short as they had to fight a Majin version of Goku. The Kaioshin Goku and one of the superhero Gokus teamed up to battle a baby-possessed Gogeta. One of the versions of Goku even teamed up with a stretchy man, and one that was a little more concerned with finding ingredients. And on the other side, a ninja fought against another evil version of Goku. Towa stepped away, realizing that this was a worthless endeavor. No way she would be able to defeat Goku and the others at this rate. Even the powered-up villains from various realities didn't stand a chance against the alternate versions of Goku and his friends. She then looked at Mira, who was punched away by Gogeta and Vegito. The fusion smirked and nodded at each other, going to face other villains. In this 1 second, she took a deep breath and swiftly appeared behind Mira. She whispered in his ear that she was sorry, but this time it was her turn to use his power. Mira's eyes widened in fear as a bright light consumed them both. The fighting stopped, and everyone looked at them. Out of the light came out a new being. Previously, Mira had absorbed Towa to gain her power. Now it was Towa absorbing Mira. This was the birth of an incredibly powerful version of Towa. The infinity symbol on her chest sparkled as electricity surrounded her body. Out of her shot out beams of energy that struck the various villains, powering them up once more. The heroes looked in shock, and they were suddenly on the losing end. The fusion's time limit ended. The armies were being pushed back. Even Goku himself was having trouble with so many villains attacking at once. Towa cleared a path with one giant blast from her staff that went right through a portion of her army and into Goku and Vegeta. They were blown back against one another. Vegeta's eyes opened slowly back up, and he watched as not only the future Trunks he knows, but other Trunkses arrived to attack Towa. Kid Trunks, GT Trunks, and even a Bola with a sword. They all tried their best. Vegeta's lips curled into a smile, but they wouldn't be able to win. They were just buying them time, and he knew it. Goku's eyes, in the meantime, darted around to familiar faces. The powerful Gohan in Super Saiyan Blue, a Chi-Chi who could keep up with the mightiest foes, a Goten fighting alongside Trunks and fusing into an extremely powerful Gotenks, and finally, a grown-up Pan, supporting her friends and family however she could. He was not allowed to give up. Ultra Instinct Goku dodged and weaved all throughout, until finally reaching Towa. The various Trunkses moved out of the way as Goku began to charge up his most powerful Kamehameha. Behind him, every other fighter that could charged up their own. Trunks, Gohan, the Monkey King Gogeta, even Bardock and Vegeta, and in the middle of them all, Grandpa Gohan. Towa wasn't faced by this, however, and she opened a portal in front of herself and one behind Goku, in order to have him attack himself. This was the perfect plan. Except for one thing. Behind her, she felt something pulling on her. It was Vegeta. Vegeta was using Spirit Vision to split Towa's power apart. The portal disappeared and Goku blasted down. Vegeta tried to teleport away as to not get consumed by the blast, but it was too large. Then he felt someone catch him and move away, just in time. He couldn't see clearly who it was, but the person looked like himself. There was silence for a split second, with nothing but the warble of the blast dissipating. Mira and Towa were unconscious, flying around in nothingness. Vegeta opened his eyes and realized who had saved him. It was King Vegeta. He stood up, not saying a word, but there was a mutual understanding. Goku laid on his back, also floating. Everyone celebrated him. Both Grandpa Gohan and Bardock hugged him tightly, and the Saiyan thanked everyone, but told them that Vegeta was the true hero. If it wasn't for him, he would be dead. I'm just glad none of us are dead. But when Trunks finished his sentence with a sigh, he jumped as a squeaky voice said, "Yet," behind him. A small woman wearing Kaioshin garb angrily approached Trunks, poking him in the chest. She told him that everything he did was extremely immoral and damaged the fabric of space and time. This would take at least 3 hours to fix. Trunks had no idea who she was, and she knew it. She told him that they would get to know each other soon enough, and that he had a huge debt to her after this much trouble. The little woman also apologized to everyone who had to help, but promised that they would all be returned to their proper timeline shortly. She finally introduced herself as the Kaioshin of Time, which made Trunks' face go pale. He was in a lot of trouble. She finally finished off by saying that Towa and Mira would be taken care of, and that after Trunks returned Goku and Vegeta to their original timeline, that she would pick up Trunks. He had no choice but to agree. He was very scared of her. Goku caught a glimpse of 17 and 18 talking to Bardock and Gine, and he ran up to them. He thanked them again, but said that he had an idea. Goku explained that bringing 17 and 18 home would be a little awkward, but that they could instead go to Gine and Bardock's planet. To planet Vegeta. He promised that they would have a lot of fun there. King Vegeta agreed that they were formidable fighters, and that they would be welcomed in his planet. Are you okay with that, Supreme Kai? She said that she didn't care, and that she just wanted to go to Toki Toki. Trunks asked what that was, and once again she said that he'd find out soon enough. It was time to say goodbye. First, it was Trunks and future Gohan, once again thanking them for everything. They promised to continue training. Then it was Grandpa Gohan, Piccolo, and Goku. Grandpa Gohan hugged the other Goku tightly, and told him that he was very proud of all 3 of them. Finally, it was Bardock, Gine, and the Saiyan army. It was a tearful goodbye for Gine once again. Goku ended up patting his own self on the head, telling himself that Saiyan armor looked weird on him, and to trade it out for a gi ASAP. Little Kakarot didn't like him very much. The androids thanked them as well, and the Supreme Kai sent them off to their original timelines. She said that because they caused this Trunks would have to fly them back home. So she stood the time machine back up and made sure they put in the right coordinates. Before they left, she cleaned them all up. Trunks had a shiny new sword and a sweater, Vegeta clean armor, and Goku a new gi. But Goku's gi was blue. Chronoa simply said that she liked the color better. The Supreme Kai winked at Trunks and the time machine disappeared. The three finally had a chance to catch their breath and to reminisce on their own little adventure, but admitted that they were glad to go home, and also wished Trunks luck with the Kaioshin. It is then when turbulence hits the time machine again. Oh god damn it, not again. But this time the time machine did not crash. Instead, it landed softly in a familiar area, Grandpa Gohan's home, but it was all worn down and old. Goku felt a sink in his heart. Goku walked towards the house and heard a voice.
Goku, get back here, we gotta go home. I don't think this is our timeline.
But Goku wouldn't listen. In fact, Vegeta told Trunks to be quiet. There was something strange here.
Just a fairy tale!
You have to gather all 7 Dragon Balls for it to work, silly. Hi! I'm surprised Pan didn't tell you that.
Who are you?
Goku wasn't sure how he got here, but somehow he knew exactly who this kid was. He saw himself in this little kid who had just gone on his own adventure to find the 4-star Dragon Ball. This kid was his descendant, and he needed the courage that Grandpa Gohan had given him a long time ago. Goku explained that it wasn't the Dragon Balls that helped his grandma Pan and his friend, but rather his courage. And as long as he had that, he'd always be okay. After all, he's alive, and as long as he's around, everything would work out. And soon enough, Grandma Pan arrived, and Goku Jr. turned around to greet her. For a second, Pan thought she saw her grandpa, but he had disappeared. It couldn't have been, could it have? Goku Jr. boarded the plane, but he could still hear Goku, because
That's the same Dragon Ball that my grandpa gave to me when I was your age. And even though he was far away, I felt close to him when it was around. So keep it safe, and I'll always be near. Goodbye, grandson.
Bye, Grandpa Goku.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to SmugStick, unless you want to be destroyed.
Lord Beerus, that's hardly fair. But also, don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified when he uploads new videos.